Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Woman on the Run. (1950). Giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was pretty good film noir. I couldn't understand why Frank was getting shot at. I guess he embezzled $20,000, but he doesn't keep it with him. The plot is a little confusing here. It's like I had to rewatch it again, the beginning, because I missed the continuity scene where Frank's wife comes out on the street and Frank disappears. Woman on the Run is a 1950 U.S. crime film noir directed by Norman Foster and starring Ann Sheridan and Dennis O'Keefe. The film was based on the April 1948 short story Man on the Run by Sylvia Tate. I'm not sure why cult cinema classics put the black and white version of this as Man on the Run in the description. I mean, in the in the title of the YouTube rip, while they put the colorized version of it as Woman on the Run. The film exists in the public domain and was restored and preserved by the UCLA Film and Television Archive. In San Francisco, artist Frank Johnson observes the gunshot murder of an important trial witness by gangsters seeking extortion money. So I guess Frank was just the witness. And there's somebody off screen that we can't see who's being extorted. Maybe that's why I got confused. Noticing Frank, the murderer takes shots at him. When the police arrive, Inspector Martin Ferris learns that Frank, the sole witness, could identify the killer in a lineup, so he detains Frank to be given protective custody. When Frank sees bullet holes in the chest area of his shadow on a nearby wall and realizes how close he had come to death, he panics and surreptitiously escapes the police. Ferris learns from Eleanor Johnson, Frank's wife, that the marriage is greatly strained and that Frank has disclosed little of it about his life to her. She informs Ferris that Frank has a long-standing habit of running from situations and events. All right. Production company Fidelity Pictures Corporation, distributed by Universal Pictures. Release date November 29th, 1950 in New York City. Running time 77 minutes. Although I think it's 1 hour 14 minutes on YouTube. Country United States. Language English. Reporter Danny Leggett insinuates himself into Eleanor's life. Leggett assists her in the search of Frank. They go searching all over the Embarcadero. Danny makes romantic advances, but Eleanor rediscovers her feelings for Frank the longer that he is away. Ferris and the police are also seeking Frank, and undercover officers tail Eleanor wherever she goes. At a Chinese nightclub that Frank frequents, a waiter gives Eleanor a note left by Frank. In the letter, Frank tells Eleanor that he will send a letter to his workplace informing her of his location. Danny learns that Susie, a hot-looking Chinese dancer, has a sketch of him that was given to her by Frank, so she steals the drawing. Soon after, Susie falls from a window to her death. Oh, poor Susie. And the nightclub staff cannot believe that she would commit suicide. Why should she? She's such a beautiful young Chinese woman. At another bar, Eleanor finds another clue in Frank's painting on the wall. At Frank's workplace, a department store, Eleanor finds the letter which states that Frank is in a place where he first lost her. Eleanor realizes that the location is on the beach near an amusement park. Eleanor and Danny rush to the beach where Frank is finishing a large land sculpture. With Eleanor taking a terrifying roller coaster ride to elude the police, Danny is revealed as the villain as he confronts Frank at gunpoint. Eleanor rushes to the scene upon hearing a gunshot, and she sees Danny's body floating in the water. Lots of cool plot twists in this one. It's rather dark. The cinematography of San Francisco is great. The only thing I dislike was the kind of lack of continuity, maybe between scenes, confusing story. I think when I went back and rewatched the beginning, I watched the first 15 minutes at St. Dominic's when I was sitting there waiting for To Kill a Mockingbird to show up on the projection screen, and these old ladies were just sitting there watching me. So I kind of got distracted anyways. And I went back and I rewatched it, and it still didn't make sense to me. Now that I'm reading it from Wikipedia, it sort of makes sense. But why wouldn't you show the guy in the car talking to the other person that he's extorting money from? I thought that person was Frank. I thought he was trying to extort money from Frank the whole time. That's the impression that I got from the camera work, and it's like that in this movie. You're scratching your head going, what the heck? It's like The Big Sleep. Anne Sheridan was announced as the female lead in January 1950 with the film's working title as Man on the Run. Okay. So it was titled Man on the Run. In February, it was reported that the producers were facing problems with the script, and the producers had changed writers. Sheridan was reported to have negotiated to receive a large portion of the film's profits, and she was paid $150,000 for her work. 20th Century Fox paid Fidelity Pictures $50,000 to delay production of the film while Sheridan completed work on Stella. Rumors circulated that she was ill after having transitioned directly from Stella to Woman on the Run, which she vehemently denied. Rico Sato was cast after Anne Sheridan saw her dancing at a nightclub. We like Rico Sato on this channel. Sounds like a Japanese name, but she's playing a Chinese girl? Susie? I wanted to see more of her. She's definitely yummy. Production for Women on the Run began In early May, the film was shot on location in San Francisco, although some night scenes set in San Francisco were filmed in the Court Hill section of Los Angeles. The amusement park and roller coaster scenes were filmed at Ocean Park Pier in Santa Monica, nowhere near San Francisco. Sheridan, who had a great fear of roller coasters dating back to childhood accident at an amusement park, took 8 full rides on the Ocean Park Pier roller coaster during the course of filming the sequence. Filming wrapped up in mid-June 1950. Ross Hunter worked as dialogue director for the film, as well as for several other films starring Sheridan at Universal. According to film noir historian Eddie Muller, much of the film's dialogue was improvised, a rarity for the era, and no continuity script was completed. Maybe that's why I got confused. In a contemporary review for the New York Times, critic Bosley Crowther wrote, "Since it never pretends to be more than it is, Woman on the Run is melodrama of solid, if not spectacular, proportions, working on what obviously was a modest budget. Its independent producers may not have achieved a superior chase in this yarn about the search by the police and the fugitive's wife for a missing witness to a gangland killing, but as a combination of sincere characterizations, plausible dialogue, suspense, and the added documentary attribute of a scenic tour through San Francisco." I love the San Francisco scenes. A lot of stuff has not changed since 1950 in San Francisco, believe it or not. Woman on the Run may be set several notches above the usual cops and corpses contributions from the coast. Woman on the Run will not win prizes, but it does make crime enjoyable. Los Angeles Times reporter Philip K. Schuer wrote, "For a Hitchcock-type thriller, Woman on the Run is quite a reasonable little affair, directed after one of the talkiest openings on record, with fair imagination by Norman Foster, who also collaborated on the screenplay. His roller coaster finish, at any rate, demonstrates what applied cinematics can do to make the spectator breathe hard over a situation which, if he were thinking hard instead, would quickly establish itself as coming mighty close to the preposterous." In 2003, a pristine print of the film was located in Universal's vault, but it was destroyed in the 2008 Universal lot fire. The film was thus believed to be lost, but with the only extant copies being numerous poor quality VHS transfers typical of public domain films. However, the film's negative and soundtrack were found in the British Film Institute's collection, and the Film Noir Foundation and Hollywood Foreign Press Association funded a complete restoration by the UCLA Film and Television Archive. The restored film premiered in August 2015. Nobody's in the chat room. It's too early for the Australian mates. Gets a whopping 2 out of 10 on IMDb. 5,300 ratings. Woman on the Run, 1950. 1 hour, 17 minutes. Frank Johnson becomes an eyewitness to a murder. He's pursued around San Francisco by his wife, the police, and the killer. More like this: Deadline at Dawn, The Wrong Way Out, If Winter Comes and Without Pity. I've got to get those. The only known print of this film was destroyed in a fire in June of 2008, leaving only a few very low quality, basically unwatchable prints in the public domain. Eddie Moeller, host of Turner Classics Noir Alley, did a bit of detective work, and he found a 35 millimeter print at the British Film Institute. He had it shipped to UCLA Film and Television Archive, where, with financial help from Mueller's own organization, the Film Noir Foundation, and the Hollywood Foreign Press. What the heck just happened there? Sorry, this IMDb page is being naughty. It's being naughty. Joe Sawyer's character of washed up baseball player Babe Dooley. What? I'm on a different, I'm on Deadline at Dawn. Sorry, I clicked on 3 dots and it took me to a different movie. Anyways. Come on. IMDb is being very naughty today. Here we go. This is a pretty decent noir. I'm rating it a little bit higher than IMDb. There's Deadline at Dawn. Okay. He had it shipped to UCLA Film and Television Archive, where, with the financial help from Mueller's own organization, the Film Noir Foundation, and the Hollywood Foreign Press Association's charitable something. Charitable trust, the film was preserved for future generations. This is one of Mueller's favorite noir films for a number of reasons, including the pair of two great actors, Anne Sheridan and Dennis O'Keefe, who he claimed improvised some of their dialogue, but mostly because of its use of San Francisco, Eddie's hometown, while it was still a bustling, growing blue-collar seaport. So I guess it didn't turn communist until the 60s. Oh, it happened again. I'm on the Deadline at Dawn page. What the heck? I want Woman on the Run. Why does IMDb think that Woman on the Run is actually Deadline at Dawn? I don't know. I do not know. Later in the movie, Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Johnson, Danny, and a police officer, in that order, climb into the back seat of a car and are driven to police headquarters. When they arrive, they get out in a completely different order. They would have had to climb over each other to get out of the car the way they did. Quotes Inspector Ferris, "Did you eat anything but dog? Don't you eat anything but dog food?" Eleanor Johnson, "He's not particular, and I'm lazy, so we eat out." This was edited into The Green Fog, 2017. Here's a review from Bonds, dated April 6, 2001, giving it the same rating as I'm giving it, an 8 out of 10, which is the same as my rating. On IMDb, the review title is "The Woman is Anne Sheridan." Enough said. This neat little thriller from 1950 is all the more interesting because Anne Sheridan is the woman in the title. Miss Sheridan is most convincing as she searches for her husband who witnessed a gangland murder and must find him before the underworld does. There are many tense moments along the way, especially when she ends up riding on a roller coaster. Good support from Dennis O'Keefe, Robert Keith, and Ross Elliott, plus a good screenplay, help this film rise above B status. Oh, Mark Fusion says, "What's up, playa? Be sleazy, playa, be sleazy." All right. Next on my list is Messenger of Death, 1988. Then I've got The Birds, 1963, and Not Wanted, 1949. In the meantime, I will look up those 4 movies that I mentioned, the more like this movies, and see if I can add them to my list later.